Previously on Going in Blind.
I played a few sessions.
Okay, so you...
I didn't play much. I played, three... was it more like 5 or something?
Yeah, you didn't play long.
5 sessions, then I got blown up.
That's Maddie. She's only played a few sessions of D&D, and mainly 3.5.
The best way to describe my usual group? Oh my.
That's Kat. She likes to set things on fire.
I've been playing with them for under a year.
Okay.
Most of this year.
Yeah.
Both Dungeons and Dragons and Dragon Warriors. I've since dropped Dragon Warriors.
Everyone else who was playing were actually experienced.
Yeah.
It was just us.
That said, I still don't know what I'm doing, and I tend to come and go, what can I blow up? Good, that.
That, to me, that sounds like the best way to play the game.
It's also the fact, obviously, where we were playing with Crusade people and they're using the game maps and
Drawing maps and so on.
yeah,
And
we
most
don't
of the
know where
time-
we are.
From Insipidly Vapid Productions and the Forecast Network, this is Going in Blind, a tabletop role-playing game with vision-impaired players. Episode 2, Character Creation. Welcome to Episode 2 of Going in Blind, a tabletop role-playing game where each week a group of vision-impaired players sit down at a table, roll a few dice, and together tell a story. Come for the adventure, stay for the troll caves. Last episode was an introduction of sorts to the world of tabletop role-playing games, what we're doing in it, and why. At the end of the episode, we got the players, Kat and Maddie, sitting at the table and ready to begin their first foray into 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, published by Wizards of the Coast. Now, the first step in any tabletop adventure is to create your character. If that doesn't interest you, or finding out which parts of character creation are relevant to vision-impaired players and which aren't, feel free to skip on ahead to next week's Episode 3, where the adventure starts. For the rest of you, as they said in that terrifying video, "Don't hug me, I'm scared," let's get creative! Your character is the most important part of Dungeons & Dragons, as the creation of it decides many things, from playing style to quests, to party dynamics, to how good you are at scaling a wall or buying a bowl of soup. The main part of a character sheet, the part that tells you how good your character is at most things, is the abilities section, the skills. But before you go filling that out, you'll want to actually start somewhere simpler, because it might factor into things in a big way. And that somewhere is class.
Because the main thrust of a character is their class,
Yes.
their race, their background, and their alignment. And even then, background is not important. So it's mainly class, race, and alignment.
Yeah.
Your class is your vocation, your calling in life. The type of class you choose can determine playing style, proficiencies, skills, and more.
So your classes are your basic things like a rogue, a mage, a warrior, which is fighter, a paladin, who is kind of halfway between fighter and mage.
A rogue is a scoundrel who uses stealth and trickery to overcome obstacles and enemies. They're sneaky, favouring dexterity and intelligence over brute force. Big fans of crossbows, longswords, rapiers, and getting into mischief. Also, fun at parties. Wizards and mages like to throw around magic missiles, distract with illusions, or just run around in the buff screaming lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, while the entire cavern shakes and enemies and party members alike shake in fear. Still haven't forgiven you for that one, Nick. With great arcane power comes great responsibility. A fighter, or warrior, likes to be strong. A master of martial combat, they are skilled with a variety of weapons and armour, and love letting you know about it. My first ever character was a fighter. He was intelligent in the same way that Einstein was not. He died less than 30 minutes into our first encounter, courtesy of a charming rogue convincing him to attack some goblins whilst unarmoured and unarmed. I don't think I've ever played as a fighter since. Chalk another one up to Nick.
Even though you'd feel like it would be human. So What sorts of characters are you drawn to, aside from the ones that blow things up?
Well, you first.
I am contemplating either like a mage or something magical.
Yeah.
Or even a paladin. By what I've been told, that's complicated.
Everything's complicated.
Yeah.
It can be. Well, a paladin is complicated.
Yeah.
Paladins are actually not that complicated. Whatever their origin and their mission, paladins are united by their oaths to stand against the forces of evil. Whether sworn before a god's altar or in a sacred glade before the spirits of nature, their oath is a powerful bond. It is a source of power that turns a devout warrior into a blessed champion, strong and charismatic. Like the Templars of old, they're all about the questing and the bloodletting, all in the name of their chosen deity. They're less about the casting of magic, although there is a bit of that, and they're more on the stabby side of things. And the magic they do use tends towards the aggressive.
What does a cleric do? I know it's some form of magical thing.
A priestly champion who wields divine magic in service of a higher power. A cleric is a healer. A cleric is a warrior, almost always channeling their direct connection to their deity. They strive to embody the idea, the essence of the god they serve. They can call down a curse on the undead, inflict wounds, heal sickness, chant a song of glory as they swing their axe. A cleric is imbued with divine magic.
You actually get 6 spells, but 2 of them have to be bless and cure wounds, and then the other 4 you can just pick.
So
That's nice for a cleric.
I know.
So bless,
Yep. Cure
cure
wounds,
wounds.
and then you get 4 others. But out of those, you can then only prepare 2, so there will always be 2 that you can't use.
Cure wounds and inflict wounds.
Yeah.
How'd you get those mixed up?
Their prime ability, the thing you'll want to focus on as a player, is their wisdom, and their saving throw proficiencies are wisdom and charisma, which means if something attacks them and the attack is weighed against their wisdom and their charisma, they gain advantage. What is advantage? That is a very good question, and that's one we're going to answer in an upcoming episode. Clerics also have proficiency in light and medium armor, shields and simple weapons. Unlike the paladin, who's all about their own personal quest for revenge or whatever, only loosely bound to a church or deity, the cleric is a tool of her holy organization upon which her god grants blessing. More sage and wise than a paladin, better equipped to both hurt and heal, clerics are my favourite class in Dungeons & Dragons. Plus, you can cast Control Undead and make a zombie smack itself in the face while you say, "Stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself." Never gets old.
Yeah, so you're thinking about cleric.
The cleric sounds fun.
Lovely.
Yeah.
What sort of race?
That I don't know.
Ah, indeed. Every character belongs to a race. The most common player character races in Dungeons & Dragons come from your basic fantasy worlds. Things like dwarves, elves, halflings, and humans. Some races also have sub-races, such as mountain dwarf or wood elf. There are also less widespread races, such as dragonborn, humanoid dragon people, think wings, tail, fire, scales, but also walking around with hands and feet and wearing clothes and buying soup. Half-elves, that's half-human, half-elf. Half-orcs, the same. Tieflings, horns and a tail, kinda like demons. Gnomes, and many more. There are also ways to take a non-traditional race, like a giant spider or a horse, and make them a player character, if you really want to. It's unusual, but it's doable. It's up to the players as to what race they really want. The race you choose contributes to your character's identity, and normally, you'd work your way through every race, weighing out the pros and cons of each one. Maddie's cleric, on the other hand...
Is there anyone that works better as a cleric?
Dwarves.
Dwarves?
Dwarves do. Hill dwarfs as well
Okay.
do quite well. If you were to be a cleric hill dwarf, that makes things even more easy,
Yep.
because I have all the stats you would need here.
Okay.
And so filling it in requires no maths.
Yep.
And considering I brought the wrong bloody book today, no maths is good.
That's let's go with that then.
Yeah, but of course, worst comes to worst. You basically tell me what you want to be,
Yeah.
and then I can go home and fill in the real sort of things. And today we can just make it up.
As you can tell, the GM was totally prepared and on the ball for this first session, arguably the most important session. Well done him. So, we've got Maddie's Dwarven Cleric. Now to the other player.
Kat, what do you feel like?
I'm having issues because I am very, very attached to my gnome.
Yep. Do you want to bring your gnome across?
Some context. Kat and Maddie, as we discovered in episode 1 of Going in Blind, have both played a bit of Dungeons & Dragons in the past. Maddie has only played a few sessions and only 3.5, the 2003 fix-up of the 3rd edition rules. Kat played both 3.5 and 5th edition, and currently has a 4th level character she's quite fond of. Now this happens a lot. If you've been playing for a while, these characters you create become like old friends or favourite characters from a novel whom you visit every week for a few hours, and you get to know their adventures intimately. Because of this, people can take their characters' deaths quite hard, and can also want to run their characters in multiple games. Or, if they fear it might get hurt in a new setting, some players take a similar character into another game, transitioning it into their known and beloved character once they know it's safe. Although in Dungeons & Dragons, no one is really safe. However, back to this gnome.
I'm tempted to create a new, it's just my
You
gnome
could
is
create
such
a
fun.
similar one.
Yeah.
And one thing that we can do is basically take whatever the sort of level 1 version of this character is, and basically bring it across.
Well, it's not even so much that's the backstory and everything. Because one, yes, it is quite fun to be tiny and go, come back here, I'll bite your knees off. Because the gnome does lend itself to that.
It's just a flesh wound.
But, I mean, my gnome's backstory involves being an acrobat entertainer who plays bagpipes that were given to him, her, by a loved one, by a lost love.
Uh-huh.
You don't want to know what happens with the bagpipes. They are my bagpipes.
Yep.
So, it's a very strong character.
A strong and terrifying, chaotic neutral hill gnome.
And it's always nice to have a strong character. Although I personally am very very partial, because I've played with a number of people who it's amazing how many of them come to the table and they all have the same bloody backstory, and you're sitting there going, really guys, okay, fine.
Oh.
And so I've now started in my games, they're like, tell us about your character. It's like, my character's name's Jeff, and that's all you get to know. And my character tells no one anything, and I know nothing until like 3 adventures in, when the DM and I have started inserting bits and pieces of characters from my character's backstory. And then it's like, well, now I'm starting to get a backstory. And you don't actually, like a character in a novel, you don't actually learn all of their secrets until the end.
Yeah.
If you learn all of their secrets at all.
Backstories and character backgrounds, as I've said before, don't add much in the way of character buffs or technical bonuses, but they give you quirks and idiosyncrasies that can draw you into the story of the game far better than a +2 to animal husbandry could.
I'm definitely going for fire, bang, bang.
Yep.
Again, so
sort of a gnome.
I'm not sure. I like the idea of probably sorcerer over the others, because I know in 5th it's a bit different to be a sorcerer compared to a wizard.
Yes. Though I couldn't tell you that difference off the top of my head.
Nor can I, but there was a reason I changed.
Yep.
I wish I could tell. Anyway, so I think I will go sorcerer.
Cool.
A spellcaster who draws on inherent magic from a gift or bloodline. With raw magic and unexplained powers, they're unpredictable and explosive. So that's not terrifying at all. Sorcerers, unlike clerics, have flexible spellcasting. Where a level 1 cleric will only have 6 spells, a sorcerer can gain or sacrifice spell slots by augmenting some of their raw power. They also have specific backgrounds as to where they draw their magic from, and that affects your character at later levels.
Is there anything else nice and short like a gnome?
Like a gnome that is... Well, there's halfling. Halfling are quite short. And then the next level up would be sort of dwarf. But they're short and stocky.
Yeah.
Not so much sort of tiny
I really do like the idea of halfling.
halfling.
Yeah. There's just something about being able to run under someone and go, fireball.
Halfling. Or is it sorcerer?
Yes. Halfling sorcerer that gives you a hot foot.
And there we have it. A halfling sorcerer and a dwarven cleric. The basics of character, class, race, and even a bit of background. The only things left now, before ability scores, are alignment and names.
Now, the most important question out of all the questions, what is your character's name? Because it's
That is helpful.
yeah, because this is a name you're going to be stuck with for a very long time, or 2 sessions in when you get bored with the character and we kill it off and replace it with someone else.
Would you believe we never named them?
Them being the characters Maddie and Kat had played in their other Dungeons & Dragons game, in which they were a few months of sessions into the first official Wizards of the Coast 5th edition module Horde of the Dragon Queen. Suffice to say, that's not the one we're playing.
I'm going with something the momentous.
Something the momentous. I like it.
momentous.
I think Gallic.
Okay. Gallic.
Gallic?
That's Maddie's.
I figured something out. Random name generators are fun.
Gallyc?
Yeah. Random name generators are fun.
Gallic.
Coming up with names for characters can be difficult. I like to base the name on what sort of character I think I'll be playing, then find a way to obscure it. So if I'm going to be a mage, focusing on fire, I'll look up the Greek or Irish or Latin for fire and then meddle with that. For others, there are a whole host of random fantasy name generators on the internet that can help you find something that feels right.
I think I'll go with Linka.
Linka.
Cool.
Linka.
Yeah, right.
Gallic and Linker. Fantastic. Now on to the last thing that determines how you play your character, not including stats, which are more about how your character succeeds or fails at tasks, and that is alignment. In Dungeons & Dragons, starting in 2nd edition, alignments are a categorization of the ethical and moral perspectives of people, creatures, and societies. In 5th edition, there are 9 alignments. Those are lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good, lawful neutral, neutral and chaotic neutral, and lawful evil, neutral evil, and chaotic evil. Lawful good. Think Batman, Dick Tracy, or Indiana Jones. Lawful good characters include righteous knights, paladins, and most dwarves. They typically act with compassion and always with honor and a sense of duty. Neutral good. Think Zorro and Spider-Man. They're guided by their conscience and typically act altruistically, without regard for or against laws, rules, or traditions. Chaotic good. Think Robin Hood, Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica, and Mal from Firefly. They're always intending to do the right thing, but their methods are generally disorganized and often out of sync with the rest of society. They prefer to improvise and dislike bureaucratic organizations. Lawful neutral. Like James Bond, a lawful neutral character typically believes in honor, order, rules, and traditions, and often follows a personal code. Like a soldier who always follows orders no matter what they are, or a judge that adheres mercilessly to the word of the law. Neutral, also known as true neutral. These are people who sit right in the middle of the spectrum, Han Solo in the first Star Wars film, or Lara Croft. Many rogues will go neutral to play both sides to suit themselves, or weapons merchants with no qualms selling their wares to both sides of a war. Chaotic neutral. Think Captain Jack Sparrow or Snake Plissken. Chaotic neutral characters follow their own goals. They come first. If they're on your team, it's only because the team's goals happen to coincide with their personal goals for the moment. Lawful evil. A lawful evil character sees a well-ordered system as being easier to exploit. While they'd obey their superiors and keep their word, they care nothing for the rights and freedoms of others, and they're not averse to twisting the rules in their favour. tyrants and mercenaries are lawful evil. Neutral evil. Selfish. No qualms turning on others. No compunctions about harming others to get what they want. But they won't go out of their way to do so if there's no direct benefit to them. An assassin who has little regard for life but doesn't needlessly kill. A mercenary who switches sides if made a better offer. Chaotic evil. It's not compulsory for chaotic evil characters to be constantly performing sadistic acts just for the sake of being evil, or constantly disobeying orders just for the sake of causing chaos. They do, however, enjoy the suffering of others and view honor and self-discipline as weakness. Serial killers and monsters of limited intelligence are typically chaotic evil. While it's doable to play a character chaotic evil, most players who choose to do so find themselves drifting towards a neutral evil style of play. And that's it for alignments, which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. We've got the names, the races, the alignments, which I'm not going to tell you. I'll actually see if you can work out who's chosen what alignment based on their playing styles. And we've got their classes. We now know how and what Cat and Maddie are playing as, but the last thing we need to know is how good their characters will be at these things. Bring on the ability scores!
And of course, this is all preliminary. We can change
Well,
it
that's just it.
further on down
It's
the track.
just to get it started.
Nothing has to be set in stone. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, what you are here for, it's fun,
Yeah.
and what I am here for is attempting to facilitate the fun,
Yeah.
and then failing, and then you just ignore me, and you're like, we're going on our own adventure, go away. And
We're going to kill your characters and
what was that? Major plot point ahead? We jump out the window.
run.
All players have 6 basic statistics: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Each one has a number, which corresponds to other traits and abilities. So if you want to climb a wall, you'd roll a d20, that's a 20-sided dice, then you'd add your athletics modifier, which in turn is dictated by your strength. Here's a quick example of how the different levels of the strength skill might break down. Remembering that for every 2 points you go up, you gain a skill level, so 10 would be 0, 12 would be +1, and so on. Plus 12 means incredibly strong. You could lift 300 pounds and bend iron weapons with bare hands, like a barbarian king. Plus 9 means very strong. You could lift 250 pounds and move small boulders. You'd be a powerful warrior. Plus 6, strong. Lift 200 pounds. Carry a 50-pound backpack for an entire day. Plus 3 would be somewhat strong. That's 150 pounds. And a small cart. 0 is average. You can lift 100 pounds and move most furniture without help. It means you're untrained. -3 would be weak. You couldn't lift 100 pounds or even carry average loads. You'd probably be delicate royalty. Now these values are highly debatable and the scale's probably off, but it's just a quick demonstration. In addition, every task has an assigned difficulty level or difficulty class, DC. To determine if a character succeeds at a task, they roll a 20-sided die or a d20. They only succeed if the number they rolled plus the bonus they have for the skill is at least equal to the task's DC. Hence, an incredibly strong character will be able to achieve a strength-related task of average difficulty 100% of the time, because even if they get the lowest possible result of 1 plus 12 is still greater than the DC 10 that corresponds to average difficulty. A weak character, on the other hand, would have to roll a 13 or greater to succeed at or pass a DC 10 strength check, because their strength modifier is -3 instead of +12. A weak character would succeed at a strength-related task of average difficulty only 40% of the time, while an incredibly strong character would succeed all of the time. How do we figure out what these numbers are? Well, there are 3 ways. You can choose a set selection of pre-made numbers, then place them wherever you wish, leading to a nice balanced character with no big strengths or weaknesses, which is what Maddie chose to do.
Not a problem.
Because what are Maddie's stats?
Maddie's stats are 14, 8, 15, 10, 16, 12. So a +2, -1, +2, +0, +3, +1, So she's got decent strength and constitution, very good wisdom, charisma's okay, intelligence is just normal, and dexterity is actually negative.
Or you can be given a total and dole them out wherever you please, which makes for a much more biased and focused character, and one you can really mould. Or you can go old school, roll 4 d6s, that's your normal 6-sided die, and add them up, and do that for each score, and make a stat table. This is the original way to create ability scores, the way they did it in the original Dungeons & Dragons, and it can lead to some seriously overpowered characters, or some super underpowered ones. This is what Kat opted for.
Oh dear, what's happened? 1114! Fantastic, that is almost what I thought it would be. No, but you get to re-roll one, so that's okay. That's a bit better. Hey, 2, 3, 4, 4.
Alright, hang on.
Maths. 8, 9, 10,
11.
11.
No, wait, what? I
Yeah.
think it's 11.
Yeah, 8,
Cool.
9, 10, 11.
So are you right to fill that out for me, or?
Oh, yes. What have we got there? Where are you? You're here. And it was 17, 18, 11, 13, 17, 15. In that order? Because you've got strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma.
I think charisma.
I'm not 100% certain, but I'd say intelligence, wisdom, and charisma would probably be your main 3.
Yeah.
So let's say, who do you want the 18 to go to?
Oh, let's be really charismatic.
Charismatic, lovely.
17 intelligence.
Intelligence,
Next one for wisdom.
which I believe is also 17, which leaves us with strength, dexterity, and constitution, which will be a 13, a 15, and an 11.
15 for dex.
15 for dex. Well, someone's going to be dexterous. Constitution and strength, you've got an 11 and a 13 left.
13 then 11. So last on strength.
Okay, 11 is strength.
Yep.
And
I'm tiny, it's not going to matter.
13 constitution. Yes, and we've got some strong strength there.
Seriously, a halfling with an 18 for strength? I don't think so. Look at me, I'm lifting a car.
And there we have it. Gallic, the dwarven cleric, sensibly balanced, and Linker the momentous, a halfling sorcerer, terrifyingly persuasive, and quite powerful. So will these two find the greatness they seek? Will they go on adventures in the wilderness, or just potter around a small town mending fences for silver? Or ride the back of dragons? Or will they just set fire to everything and laugh? Find out next time as the adventure begins on Going In Blind. Going In Blind is recorded at Vision Australia Kooyong, is edited and produced by me, Morgan Jenkins, and is an insipidly vapid production. Our theme music is Crusade by Kevin MacLeod. In-episode music and sound effects from Syrinscape, a sound design app for tabletop gaming. Please subscribe to us on iTunes, like, rate, comment, whatever you can do, it's a big help to us. Going In Blind is part of the Forecast Podcast Network. Go to theforecast.com.au, that's F-O-U-R, to check out the other podcasts they have. You can get in touch with us through our email, goinginblindpodcast@gmail.com, on Twitter @goinginblinddnd, Facebook /goinginblinddnd, or visit our website, goinginblindpodcast.com, to check out our custom character sheets, the modules we're running, notes on the games, and much more.
So at the moment it doesn't mean much, but by the end it'll really help.
Yeah. Feats.
You have 2 of them at the end of your legs.
That was a terrible joke. You should seriously feel bad
Right?
for that.
Right.